right, thank you, and thanks everyone. Thanks to everyone again for participating. As Director Gay mentioned earlier, this is a new world, and thank you to the delegations for communicating with us in a new and innovative way. We hope it will be effective. Before we start, I do need to do a roll call of the directors. If we could go in the voting order and let us know if you're here, Director Kolchak.
Kolchak here.
Doyle, Ham present. Frank present. Miller present. McCarter present.
Thank you.
Miller present.
Director Pratt.
Director Pratt, yes.
Director Pizza is not here. Reinhardt present.
Sawsby present.
If everyone could please make sure that you mute and unmute your line when you're not using it, *6 if you're on the phone, and on the computer Alt-A, or on the little mic button on the bottom left. One of the challenges is when people have the computer audio on at the same time as they're in on the phone line.
Director Sturzer, have you joined us? Okay, Director Walter.
Director Walters here.
Wilkie? Director Wilkie, can you unmute? Okay. Director Wilkie, are you here?
Present.
Okay.
Wilkie present.
Thank you. Director Wilkes?
Director Wilkie here.
All right, thank you. All right then, let's call this Planning and Development Services Committee to order.
If I may just confirm, Director Sturzer, are you here? I did not hear you say that you were. Okay, Director Sturzer, absent. Thank you.
Okay, do we have any addition of late items? Hearing none.
Item 4.1, that the minutes of the RDK Planning and Development Services Committee meeting held on March 5th be adopted and circulated.
Mover?
Firmly moved. Director Doyle, second.
Any discussion? Is anyone opposed? Hearing no opposition, the motion is carried.
Moving to our delegations today. With us first is Jean Terpstra regarding the ALR non-adhering residential use.
Welcome, Jean.
Thank you. Hello, everybody.
I'm sorry.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Hopefully my internet connection will continue at this meeting. It's been a little sketchy lately. Okay. So, representing Renee Edmonton and Paul Thompson on this agricultural land commission non-adhering residential use application, Peak Road in Whiteville. Next slide. Just a location map of the property, farmlands to the east, and the large residential property and rural farmland surrounding it otherwise. Next slide. So this is a map showing the present improvements of the modular home and a large shop building on property. And then it shows the driveway, obviously, and proposed fencing that the owners would like to do, well as, in the top left corner, there is, a well, there, near the old house location, where we would like to build a permanent house. That, where that little house, yellow house is on the map is not necessarily exactly where the house was built, but would be in the vicinity of that well that is there and it's on a little bit hillside. So, next item. So, yeah, the modular home that's on the property was from previous owners who lived in it. The 14 by 40 foot mobile home on a non-permanent foundation. In good condition, relatively new. And they would like to just keep it there as is and have farm help residents live in it after they get their house built. They are new owners of the property and they wish to develop a cattle operation. The property right now is currently legally grazed by a neighboring rancher, and they do have farm status. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. There we go. Okay, so that's a picture of the current modular home. Got a little deck on the side, but no other addition or anything to it. So it's 14 feet wide by 40 feet long. It's a one-bedroom unit, the small kitchen living area. Obviously, a bathroom, and yeah, it's really basic. Next slide. So, okay, you can skip this one too. It looks like a duplicate or something. I'm sorry. There we go. Another picture of the farm. Sort of the yard, this building in the foreground is a pump house where their water pressure tank and high water tank and whatnot, and the well is located towards the modular home. Next slide. So these people that are applying are a professional geologist in Lothar, and who worked throughout Western North America, Canada, but they're moving up from the coast. They are back and forth between the two properties, so they haven't had a chance really yet to develop they want to operate on this property, although as soon as they sell their house, so they are moving here full time, and they will get going on the development of the coal, some fencing, and they're committed to doing this in a very environmentally sustainable manner, keeping cattle out of a wetland or prairie areas on the property, maintaining the bunch grass, the natural grassland habitat that's on the property by very strict grazing cattle over certain times of the year, and really paying attention to the environmental aspects of the property itself. Next slide. So this is talking about the soil modification, mostly fixed, which is very agriculturally used. However, there are 3 areas that have been dry land in the past. One property cut off, grassing type of case, and there is a pretty major gully running through the property that it has a riparian area identified over it, and they will be protecting that with fencing, like I said, keeping cows out of that. And there is no real source of irrigation for the property for any kind of intensive cultivation. They are looking at a cattle operation only. Next slide.
Is that the last slide?
That's the last one, or is there one more? That might be it.
Thank you, Jean. Do we have any questions? Open the control here. If you want questions, you can, take it into the queue.
These folks want to build a new house, can you just tell us a little bit how large a home they're trying to build on this property?
They haven't got the drawings pretty yet. They're looking at somewhat, you know, 2-bedroom, maybe 3 bedroom. They have adult children, that don't live in the area, so they might have to adhere to the maximum permitted under the ALC regulations now, which I believe is 500 square meters total floor area. So they would have to get into that, and I don't think they're going to be anywhere near that actually, to be honest. I'm thinking like probably in the 1,400 square foot range, or, you know, somewhere in there.
Oh, good, yeah, thank you, appreciate that.
Director Sosnowski? Okay. Is he talking?
Sorry, I was pushing the wrong thing on mute. You've obviously, Gene, seen the staff recommendation, and I don't really agree with that, but what do you think? Like, can you defend option 1 for me?
I don't have the recommendation in front of me here, Director Sosnowski, but if I'm going from memory, option 1 would be to support. I think option 3 was what staff recommended with support, but having the limited area of all the buildings within the sector area. Is that right?
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. I am aware of that regulation in the zoning bylaw to limit, the area that's used for buildings and particularly dwellings on a property like that. And the shape of that 2 hectare area isn't defined in bylaw, to my knowledge, so it could be kind of a longer rectangle kind of area, right, polygon sort of thing, right, on, within 2 hectare kind of area. But where the well was drilled, it was already drilled before these people bought the previous owners. And it's on a hillside that's got rock outcroppings, and it's definitely not part of the dry hay areas that they have on the property. It's also not real prime grade because it's got a slope, fairly significant slope to it. So they thought that would be a suitable location for a house, because it is easily within walking distance to the existing mobile home plus the shop. It would form a bit of a triangular area there between the 3 main buildings on the property. It was built there. Does that answer your question?
Yes and no. I'm leaning toward option 1, but staff is going with option 3, and seeing if there's some defense for option 1.
Okay, do you have further questions for Gene, Director Sosnowski?
Can you, option 1, I don't have it.
Option 1 is to approve.
Oh, that's right, okay, yeah.
That's good, thank you.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, we can discuss it when we get to the end of the agenda. So thank you, Gene, for participating, and you know the drill. We'll be talking about it shortly.
Okay, our next delegation is Brian Krieg and Anastos of Telus Communications Inc. Request for letter of concurrence from Moya and Tyler.
Welcome, Brian.
Yeah, thanks very much for having us. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, and I can see both of them.
Excellent. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so I'm here with my colleague Doug Anastos. I'm Brian Gregg, and really we're just very grateful to be here today. We thought it was very poignant, I guess, to be taking advantage of teleconferencing technology to propose our telecommunications infrastructure. And really, today's meeting kind of underscores the benefits that the technology we're proposing can bring. Before I jump into our presentation, I also just wanted to touch on the fact that my family has actually owned property at High Lake since the 1950s, and I've spent probably between 1 and 2 months a year at High Lake every year. And both my parents are from Fernie, and so I mentioned that just to say that I am intimately familiar with the area, and I think that's really helped inform our proposal. So today, what we did is we've lumped 2 proposed cell tower sites into this one presentation, and are requesting land use concurrence for both of them in one go. And again, one is Moye and one is High Lake. Next slide. So we're going to talk about briefly the objective, what's the purpose of what we're proposing, the rationale for how we selected each site. We have some just really high-level conceptual site plans and tower elevation drawings that we'll show you. And then we'll briefly touch on the results of the consultation that we completed, and then we'll conclude with our request for a motion or letter of land use concurrence. Next slide, please. So this whole initiative was driven by many years of customer complaints regarding the lack of dependable wireless service, including high-speed internet access in both the High Lake and Moye communities. So by proposing these 2 towers, not only will we be able to support high-speed, high-bandwidth voice service, it will also be for data and for actually high-speed internet access. So we just wanted to really underscore the fact that this will be providing also access to high-speed internet up to 25 megabits. And it will be offered at rates that are quite affordable or comparable to what you can get through our other internet products. Next slide, please. So I'll start with High Lake, and then subsequent to this section, we'll separately discuss our rationale for Moye. So first off, we thought it was worthy of note that in your land use bylaw, wireless communication facilities are actually listed specifically as a permitted use on the specific subject property, which is the High Lake Regional Park property. The P1 Public Institutional Zoning District lists our type of infrastructure as a permitted use. In terms of land use, we selected this location not only because it meets TELUS's technical and service objectives, but also because it's a very central location that would actually enable our tower to see all sides of High Lake and effectively every potential end user and home in that area, thereby enabling high quality, dependable internet and data and wireless service access generally. The subject property is also owned by the RDEK, and so a benefit of that is that any lease revenue from our proposal would flow to the RDEK and provide a broader public benefit as opposed to us dealing with the private landowner. Next slide, please. This is a site plan, sort of down in the bottom left corner. You can see where it labels TELUS's compound. Sorry, I probably should have highlighted that to make it pop out. Looks like it's been clicked on and disappeared temporarily. But effectively, we're in the southwest corner of the large High Lake Regional Park property. That location was selected because there's existing access and distribution power nearby. And some of the trees appear to have been previously at least partially cleared, so it's a bit more sparsely vegetated. So it'll mitigate the need for us to come in there and remove a bunch of timber. Again, we can take advantage of existing access and power nearby, which is a major benefit. Next slide, please. This drawing here shows our tower profile, which is a monopole design, which is considered to be really the highest quality design and the most slim or aesthetic solution available. Next slide, please. So this, we'll talk about Moye now. So once again, in the land use bylaw for this particular zoning designation, the RR60, rural resource cross zone property, wireless communication facilities are once again listed as a permitted use. The benefit of this particular property is that it's a very large approximately 110 acre lot, and it has good high elevation land. So our facility will be able to provide very broad coverage, and because the lot is so big, it's set back significantly from any residences and out of the view of any of the waterfront properties, or really any properties in that area. There's existing access roads that are already cleared on property that we can just make minor improvements to access our facility for construction and any maintenance. And ultimately, we think that the visibility of this structure in this location will be very minimal. Next slide, please. There's a site plan. As you can see, it's a very large lot, and we wanted to show you the full extent of the property rather than just zooming in on our little compound. But as you can see, where there's a couple of yellow markers. The one in the bottom or the middle shows where our access road would begin, and then from there we will head north up to where there's the existing access and clearing, and that's where we're proposing to have our tower. Next slide, please. This is another tower profile drawing that shows a self-support structure or a lattice tower type design of 35 meters in height. Next slide. So we did undertake a public consultation process for both of these facilities, and effectively we're required to follow the Innovation, Science, and Economic Development Canada default process, and that entails 3 general steps for both of these sites. That included notifying any property owners within 3 times the height of the proposed tower, posting a notice in local newspaper, and then ultimately the piece that we're doing here today is the last piece, which is requesting land use clearance from the local government or regional government. I just wanted to also touch upon the fact that for Tie Lake, based on feedback from RDEK staff, we substantially expanded upon the notification radius. And basically we notified everyone in the vicinity of our tower, and that was about just under 30 property owners. And then I believe the RDEK did an additional email or mail distribution from a Tie Lake residents mail list. So I believe approximately, if I'm not mistaken, up to 200 people were notified. Next slide. So during the Tie Lake process, at least through our part of the process, we heard 27 members of the public. 17 were in support of those 27, and 10 stated some opposition or concern. Of those who had questions or concerns, primarily they were wondering, and this has been really in every case. Yeah.
Ryan, you have 1 minute.
Okay, so primary concerns were around health and safety and whether or not we considered any alternative location. For Moye, we received no questions or comments whatsoever. So the last slide here is just us stating that we're seeking a motion of land use concurrence for each facility. We provided some sample wording on this slide. By no means does this need to be followed, but it gives an example. And I'm sure you have your own motion for you. And so that's the end of our presentation. And thanks very much for all your time.
Okay, thank you. Good wrap up. So I've activated the speaker list. Are there any questions from any of the directors?
Chair?
Yes?
Yes, Sandra Walker, I clicked on the list there, but whatever. I just like to thank Brian for his presentation on there, that this day and age it emphasizes how important these facilities are to carry on this regular order of business, and we're all using that right now, and it's a great opportunity to move forward, so thank you, Brian.
Thanks,
Thanks very much, Director Gold.
Director Sturzer.
Thank you, and I echo what Director Doyle said. I just have a really quick question, curiosity more than anything. I know a lot of warmer climates, they take these towers and they kind of blend them in and actually make them look like trees or whatever. That might be hard to do here. I just wonder if it ever is done in our region.
I think maybe I'll defer to Doug on that since I've done so much talking.
Sure, yeah, thanks, Brian. And thank you, Director Sturzer, for your question. It's a good question. We always try to think about the best ways to make the infrastructure blend in with the surroundings and the community. And so when we're talking about that, they're sometimes referred to monopines, as like a monopole crossed with a pine tree. It's not something that TELUS builds. And we'll be building other, what you see here with these proposals are pretty typical, either a self-support lattice tower or a monopole, and or something larger like a guide tower in some cases. I think the main reason that we don't build them is that what we've seen in our experience, at least, is that they tend to draw attention, which is counterintuitive, but they tend to become a landmark in the community that's known far and wide. I've seen this in a couple different cases. Some other carriers have built a limited amount. And because of that, and other reasons, I guess, as well, in terms of maintaining the structure and making it, look good throughout time, it's not something that we proceed with. But I think, and you see this too, in cases where aesthetics are a concern, a green painted monopole with all of the equipment, the antennas and everything, flush mounted to the pole is something that really does blend in quite well to the surroundings. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. Director Wills.
Thanks. My question was directed around Director Sturzer, so I'm satisfied. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Director Kolchak.
Thank you, Chair. I have the 25 megabytes upload. Why are you not looking at the 5010, which is becoming the standard? Why are we kind of going somewhat backwards?
Yeah, it's a good question. I can handle that one as well. Thank you, Director Kolchak. It's and so when we're providing cell service over the wireless network, it's actually kind of challenging in terms of capacity perspective, especially with the data buckets that we're offering. So up to a terabyte now. Which is more than I use in my home, and prices that are pretty much similar to what we would offer over a hardwired connection. And so when we're saying up to 25 megabit service, that's something that we feel comfortable with right now in terms of what we can offer with this type of infrastructure, this kind of a solution. And it is something as well that I think a lot of people, especially if you're starting, if you're used to say 1 megabit to 5 megabits, it's a big jump. It allows you to do a lot of different things. This type of application that we're doing right now, Netflix, a lot of those, day-to-day, routine internet usage cases, you can do with that. And I think what we'll find is that, with TELUS, what we do always is once we build our infrastructure, we continually upgrade it, and we always try to find ways to make it better. And once it's there, really money is not an issue. Our infrastructure is where we invest our funds. We want to make it, a premier company based on premier infrastructure. And, so I think as time goes on, as technology gets better, and in future upgrades, we could probably see those speeds increase as well.
Thank you.
Director Sisnowski.
Yes, thanks for the presentation. I am also a neighbor of where that tower on Tie Lake, just on Thistle Road, Brian, you know, of where that tower on Tie Lake, just on Thistle Road, Brian, where you know where I am. And what I've heard from the residents, and very good, I was gonna ask for a green tower with, like, keep it as close to, you know, something that's aesthetically pleasing as you can. And then the residents really don't have a concern with it, as long as it's not, you know, sticking out of the park or a chrome pole.
Yeah, and so the green painted monopole really is the best solution to blend in a utility structure like this. There is an additional capital cost associated with this type of structure, but we look at it carefully. We know the area very well. I know Thistle Road, exactly what you're speaking about. And so we were mindful of that right from the beginning and have tried to put our best foot forward with a flush mounted green painted pole. And we do believe it'll be well integrated into the forested surroundings.
Further,
Okay, sure, go ahead.
is that a flush mounted green painted pole? Is that what I hear is going to be put there?
Correct, yeah, and when we say flush mounted, just for everyone's information, we mean the antennas would be mounted in tight or flush to the pole structure. And so basically it's a tubular or pole structure painted green rather than the lattice type structure that you might see in other cases. So it's really just a pole with some tight painted, again, green painted antennas on it that are pretty innocuous. And I think it's as slim as possible in terms of what we can do for an installation like this.
Thank you.
Okay, seeing no further speakers, thank you to the delegation, and we'll move on to the next item.
Thank you. So our next delegation with us today is Pam Stainsby regarding the Ministry of Transportation and Infrastructure 212 Indian Band Section 16 map reserve application.
Mr. Stainsby, are you on the phone?
I am on the phone. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you very well. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for taking this presentation. It's great to have the communities have the ability to be able to talk with our deck to give us better of an idea on what the overall concerns are from our community. I mean, I've been asked by the community to represent them, but I think more just they had a little bit more extra time, and the community itself is very passionate about this. So we'll move on fairly quickly. So next slide. So this started off with someone coming around to each of the homes in their area asking with a one-page summary of what was going on. That came as a shock and news to most of us in the community. So we've had a couple of days to be able to get together, or a couple of days notice, and there's over 30 of us got together at one of the residence places on January 12th. But we had representation from our deck. Jerry Wilkie was able to be there, Susan Klobuchar, as well as your board chair, Rob Gay. So it was, and we also had representation from FDA, MLLA. It was a good opportunity to sort of share what was going on. And again, most of this came as a complete shock. So what we did is we implemented a tool called Nextdoor, which is a social networking tool for communities, and to give people a way to be able to communicate with each of the folks in the community. So, getting together when they're a bit more spread out was problematic. This is before the COVID pandemic. It's forced us into a new paradigm. One of the suggestions we had from our MLA was that the recommendation to send in submissions to the website that the BC government has set up. majority of the people submitted comments and quite detailed summaries, and a lot of the content of this presentation is from those that type of content. In addition, we also it suggested to try and arrange a conversation with the folks at the Shuswap Indian Band. This was one of our MLA's recommendations. Said just talk. And we tried multiple times. We had not been able to get the band to be able to meet with us, even with having our MLA get involved to try and facilitate that meeting. So talking with the band was kind of out. Submitted some articles. There's articles written in a local paper. We were interviewed on CBC Daybreak about the situation. It was very topical, and it was broadcast both south and north of the in the CBC Daybreak. So it gave us an opportunity to be able to spread the information out a little bit wider and get an understanding what other organizations were, what other communities had experienced as well. And finally, the survey, and because we didn't want to just go on, hearsay, so we put together a survey to try and solicit feedback from the community. Next, please. Survey participants, we had 64 contacts for the 38 properties. And this was actually a really good exercise for our community, because of course it's actually go to people's homes and say, who are you? And introduce ourselves. So we had the opportunity to be able to get our, to learn who our neighbors were. And it was a very positive experience. But as a result, we were able to get a lot of people's email address and only in the community itself, and then send out a survey to be able to try and solicit their feedback on this. And we had more than half of the surveys completed. Next slide, please. This is just a quick view of what the Community Heights, Juniper Heights community looks like. And it is sort of an upper and a lower area, and this is constructed from the ArcGIS system that RDEC uses as a reference, and it's a great tool. I think I was very familiar with previously, so it's, again, easy to be able to put the information together. But it helped us identify what the properties were, as well as who were in each of those properties. Next slide, please. The survey questions really at a high level were, are you satisfied with the process itself, the Ministry of Transport and Infrastructure? And then what is the support? What support do we have for alternate resolutions for this? And should we be going beyond RDEC and our MLA support? Should we seek legal counsel? And then some additional comments. So that was really the four key questions. Next slide, please. So the one that was most striking was the level of dissatisfaction with the land exchange process. It felt there was concerns about this, and we'll go into more detail in subsequent slides, but people did not feel that they were involved in the consultation, the communication or the collaboration involving the community. It felt like a very secretive kind of a process. And that was one of the large, most consistent findings we had out of the survey. Next, please. It was driven by minimal consultation, and there was an ad put in the paper on the 19th of December that most people didn't even see. Now it's a small ad, but to be fair, in the ad it was you couldn't look at the picture in the ad to be able to actually understand where this was directly adjacent to the Juniper Heights community. And when you went to government website to make comments, their information was even more vague as far as the definition of where the land was. So we had to go and so that was, it didn't come across clearly, so that lack of visibility. The timing of it was also really a point of contention because most of this is heavily used by a lot of cyclists from all across Western Canada. Even though it's a non-sanctioned trail system, there's 19 trails in there, and it has become extremely popular. It's common to see 20 or 25 vehicles in the parking lot on the weekends. And the challenge is those cyclists don't read the local paper because they're from outside of the valley, and in a lot of cases, and it was a time of year that they're generally not thinking about mountain biking. Next slide, please.
Mr. Stainsky, you've got under 2 minutes left.
Okay, I'm not going to go into, you all can read the information that was put in here. So what we're trying to do is break it into 2 different areas. Concerns about the process and concerns about the consequences. So I've talked enough about the process, the level of detail that was done for that. If we move on to these are all process steps that would have taken place if it was a private organization or company or individual buying it. I think that one of the key things is we want to make sure that from the community's perspective, we want the Shuswap Indian to be compensated and fairly compensated. It's just the information that was put forth was the compensation is giving away these chunks of land is 124 hectares out of District G that are going to be lost with an extensive recreational use. That's the concern. The community itself wants is open to other alternatives that could be potentially available, but we can't actually get any of that information. And the challenge is we can't not only can't we get that information, it's covered by a freedom of information request that we've submitted. The 10 questions we've asked that we need more information on are at the very end of the presentation. But the net of it is the consequences of the land exchange occurring as it is proposed is directly, has a lot of negative connotations associated with that for the community.
Thank you. I'm going to cut you off there. I think the directors will have a lot of questions, and you'll be able to get some information out then, all right?
Thank you very much.
Director Klobuchar, you're our first question.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you, Mrs. Stainsby, for your presentation. And also, thank you very much for all the work that you and I know a number of others here in the community, Juniper Heights, has done on this particular issue and the efforts that you've made since finding out about it in late December. So I just wanted to put that out there. The question I have is your survey that was done was, very specific to Juniper Heights. Did you push that out any further into the community?
We did not. As far as communicating with the community, we went through, we were suggesting folks to write letters to the editor, as well as communicating using the letter article, the article that was posted in the 26th of January Columbia Valley Pioneers newspaper.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Director Sturzer.
Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Stainsby, for your presentation, and to echo all the hard work that you've done. You mentioned that you want to see fair compensation. I just wondered if you guys have any idea or a framework for what you feel that would look like as opposed to what's being offered right now.
Absolutely. The slide, one of the slides, slide 10 of 18, indicated what some of the alternate suggestions were and the ratings based on the comparison. So that one. So I realize it is relatively small, but in the providing a straight cash payout was one option. Providing parcels of land that are other parcels of land. If those parcels of land that are proposed, putting in a buffer zone so that the neighbors that previously acting onto provincial crown land would have a buffer between their property and the extension of the tribal reserve. Potentially just offering one of the parcels. We were told it was like for like and equal size and equal value. And that's one of the questions we're trying to determine is there's no way that we could see that the land that the highways was going to get was going to be 124 acres of prime area. So offering a different area where a different parcel would have been far more attractive for the residents in the community that didn't, where the land didn't border an existing community.
Great, thank you for that. I saw that slide. I just wanted some verbal clarification. Thank you.
You can see the weighting as well.
Next is Director Wilkes.
Thank you very much for your presentation. And I don't know if you can answer this or through you to Manager McCall. The Stoddard Creek, does it get any potable water sources, community or housing?
Manager McCall?
Not entirely sure. I do believe the Stoddard Creek residences to the north of the Shuswap Indian Band have individual wells on their property. I'm not aware of a community system being there, but I'm not sure what all the water licenses might be issued for Stoddard Creek.
We were told by Ministry of Transport that that's both the Juniper Heights Road, which is included in the parcels, as well as the Stoddard Creek or creeks were excluded from the parcels of land that were being offered.
Further?
Yes.
Thank you. I'll reserve my comments until we get to the discussion at hand.
Thank you, Director Wilkes. Next speaker is Director Wilkie. Director Wilkie, you need to unmute.
Is that okay?
Yeah,
Yes.
hear you now.
Yes, it's a very direct question. If, and I realize it's only if there was some accommodation made to retain the uses in the area, what is the community opposed to having the Shuswap Band acquire the property? Because there's many other values to the property aside from recreation.
No, absolutely. And this has had a long series or a long history of being protected by the Juniper Heights community. Al Semple has certainly been involved in that for over 40 years. One of the recommendations that we had was the creation of a sanctioned trail system, very similar to the way that another Indian band in the Yukon had, and they basically created a world-class recreation area for the property itself. We saw that as a great example of how it could be, how both sides could be satisfied.
And further, Chair?
Yeah, go ahead, Director Roby.
Yeah, I assume that you persisted in asking for meetings with the various parties, including MOTI and Indigenous Affairs and the Shuswap. And what you just, I believe you said you just had, there was no response whatsoever. Is that correct?
Yeah, Modi did not, actually, the Shuswap Indian Band, we've had 4 different people trying their personal relationship with the chief coach to solicit a meeting. She has said, no, we don't have time to be able to meet at this time. And then for the Ministry of Transport, we're told it's under negotiation. We can't meet while it's under negotiation, and which is kind of odd because after the way that this land exchange process works is the local residents are not actually informed that the deal has gone through and what the boundaries are until the deal is done. So they're basically saying, we can't meet with you because we're negotiating. And then when it comes time to negotiate, when we have a chance to talk to them, we're told, oh, sorry, the decision's already been made.
Okay, I have, are there any other people who would like to ask a question before I move this forward? Okay, hearing none, thank you, Mr. Stacey, and we'll be making a decision here shortly. Manager
Thank you.
Muscat.
We ask that you first. Thank you.
We're moving now to item 9.2.3. Staff recommendation is option number 3. That the Agricultural Land Commission be advised the RDK supports that Heatherton and Thompson Dale are not adhering residential use application for their property at 8826 Beacon Road, subject to all dwelling units and all improvements, including wells, outbuildings, driveways, and all the areas between them being sited within a contiguous 2-hectare portion of the property to minimize disturbance to the farm property.
Can I get a mover, please? Director Gay, seconded by.
Can I actually ask,
Go ahead, Director Walter.
can I actually have it moved to option 1?
Certainly, we haven't had a seconder yet. Do you want to move option 1? Can I get a seconder on option 1? I'm not hearing a second.
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you, Director Sosnowski. Okay, Director Walter, you're in the queue to comment.
I would like to support option 1. When they came to meet with the APC, they all supported it and thought that they were trying to do something worthwhile. I realize the staff wanted to group it all together, but if you have been in the Wycliffe area where this is going to be built, there is quite a few smaller parcels of housing and residential areas already, so it does fit the area.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone else want to comment? Hearing no further discussion, I'll call the question. Is there anyone opposed to option 1? If no one is opposed, option 1 is carried.
Director Wilkie.
Go ahead, Director Wilkie. Opposed?
And can I speak? I believe that by going with option 1, it just really decreases the opportunity for them to proceed. I think by going with option 3, it'll be much more palatable for the ALC.
Okay, thank you. Do I have anyone else opposing? Last call for opposition. Okay, that motion is carried. I have one opposed. Thank you, directors.
The next item is 9.3.1. Staff is option number 1, that TELUS Communications Inc. be advised, TELUS Communications Inc. has satisfactorily completed its consultation with the regional district. The regional district is satisfied with TELUS Communications Inc.'s public consultation process, and the regional district concurs with TELUS Communications Inc.'s proposal to construct a wireless telecommunications facility on property at 9795 Estates Road in Moyet, provided it is constructed substantially in accordance with the plans submitted to the RDEA.
Can I get a mover? Director Day, seconded by
Director Doyle?
Director Doyle. Discussion. Director Walter. Director Walter, you have the floor. Director Walter, I believe you're still on mute.
I'm sorry, I had muted myself. I would almost like to vote against both of these, because I'm the one director living in an area with no cell phone service or good internet. I have been losing my internet all afternoon during these meetings. So I am supporting it. I'm hoping that they push on and do more areas that.
Okay, thank you.
That's everything I have to say.
Thank you, Director Walter. Do we have a seconder? Yes, Director Doyle. Okay, further discussion. Oh, Director Sosnowski. Director Sosnowski, you're on mute.
No, I want to speak to the Thailand one. Sorry.
Oh, okay. All right. There are no other speakers in the queue. I'll call the question on 9.3.
You get that?
Go ahead.
Director Reinhardt?
Yes? I'm going to call the question on the one for Moyet.
Can you hear me, guys?
Yes, we hear you.
I can. Wow.
Yeah, we can hear you, Mike. Not sure where Clara went.
Other ship left.
Can you hear me now? I'm ready to call the question. Is there anyone opposed to option 1 for 9.3.1? Second call for anyone opposed. Hearing no opposition, the motion is carried.
Next item is 9.3.2. Staff recommendation is option number 1. That TELUS Communications Inc. be advised that they have satisfactorily completed its consultation with the regional district. The regional district is satisfied with their public consultation process, and the regional district concurs with their proposal to construct a wireless telecommunication facility on property at 6370 Thai Lake Road in Thai Lake, provided it's constructed substantially in accordance with the plans submitted to the regional district.
Can I get a mover?
Director Doyle?
Thank you. Seconded by
Director Sosnowski?
Okay, Kolchak. Discussion.
Yeah, I'd like to start there.
Okay. Director Doyle,
Okay.
the floor.
Yeah, first, I had several calls, I'd like to get support on this application from the board. Been a lot of calls from the residents in favor of this, quite extensive, the calls put on there. I had one email, the person wasn't in favor, and once we explained the RF applications and the science behind it, I never heard back from that resident. But with the rest of that, well, everyone, like you say, I've seen the numbers on there, but I've never had comments from anybody on that. But, and you can't emphasize what we're into nowadays with the age we live in right now and how important those structures are. So I just think that it's a great facility, and as we move forward, the technology will be upgraded on that facility. The next format we're coming with is 5G once that comes in, the speed will be greatly increased on there. And so I look forward to the support of the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Sosnowski, did you want to make a comment now?
Yes, I do. It says, the motion is plans that are submitted to the RDK, but the plan that is submitted is not the green single pole with the antenna as close as they can be. That isn't the submission. So I would either like to amend that or make that amendment if that is put in.
Okay, so maybe just before you do that, I'm going to defer to Manager McLeod.
You know, the plan submitted for the Tie Lake site is that green monopole with the flush-mounted infrastructure attached to it. And the delegation earlier confirmed that that was the design for Tie Lake. It is not the design for Moyne, however, just for that.
Okay, thank you. Does that
Okay,
allay your concerns?
I'm fine with that.
Okay, good, thank you. Further discussion? All right then, I'll call the question. Is there anyone opposed? I'll call again. Is there anyone in opposition to this motion for 9.3.2? Hearing no opposition, the motion is carried.
Seeing item continued, the second staff recommendation is option number 2, that staff be authorized to enter into a statutory right-of-way agreement with TELUS Communications Inc. for proposed wireless telecommunications facility at Tie Lake Regional Park.
Moved by Director Day, seconded by
Director Doyle?
Director Doyle. Discussion? Anyone opposed? Is there anyone opposed to this motion? Hearing no opposition, the motion is carried.
Moving on to item 9.3.3.
Chair to Director Wilks.
Okay, moved by Director Wilks. Or did you want?
Option,
Sorry.
option 2.
Option 2.
All right, seconded by,
Closechuck?
thank you, discussion. No, I guess I
Director.
should activate the speakers list. There you go. Go ahead.
May I go ahead, Chair?
Of course.
I think if we were supporting option 1, it would be inferred that we support the land swap with the land that's being considered. And as the MOTIRS, the province is not offering any other parcels for consideration or for protection from further encumbrances while the negotiations take place. I think that's the reason that I would support option 2. You know, it does not appear that there is any other land or financial conditions being considered or offered in this negotiation. So I would ask the board to support option 2.
Okay, so before I go to Director Wilks, perhaps Manager Muscal could read the motion to us so everyone's clear on what we're talking about.
Just for clarity, motion 2, or option 2, which is the motion on the floor, is that the Ministry of Transportation and Infrastructure be advised that RDEK does not support the Ministry's Section 16 map reserve application for 2 ground-owned lots on the east side of Highway 9395 between Invermere and Dry Gulch.
Thank you. Okay, Director Wilks.
Thank you, Chair. I have a number of concerns. Certainly from a federal perspective, it seems that between the state and province, the person who gave the presentation is correct that the feds do have no obligation whatsoever to provide any details to anyone in Juniper Heights or even us for that matter until they decide about it. I'd be concerned about this with regards to this going outside potential land claims. I'd be concerned about this because I'm not quite clear whether Stoddard Creek is potable water to someone, anyone, now or in the future. And so I think that option 2 is the way to go. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Director Wilks. Director Wilkie, you have the floor. Director Wilkie, are you there? You need to unmute.
So do I mute or unmute?
Well, you're good right now. We can hear you.
Okay. Okay, well, I just had just a couple of comments on this thing. I am supporting the motion. But it's entirely, if you look at it, it's entirely logical for this particular property to be looked at because the reserve is right next door. It's adjacent. And I suspect that there will be, I deeply feel the concern of the German Heights community and others and so forth. But almost any other land offered in the valley, I think we would come up with the same concerns. There would be concerns, but I'd just like to raise two, and this is over and above the main question, and that is that we, the RDK, should be really concerned about the cumulative effects of this whole highway turning project. It'll could have very substantial effects on our Old Coast Trail setup because the Ministry of Transportation has a massive gravel pit just adjacent to it. And where is all the material and so forth going to come from if in fact the highway does get twinned? So that's a major concern. And also the very significant influence on the community of Dry if the highway is twinned. Some of those properties there is no right of way, and so that's a real concern over and above the existing concern directly around Juniper Heights. So I would really hope that we, the RDK, even though we're going to send this motion in, that we could add something and really ask for a meeting somehow to really have this out. So I'm not sure how to word that, but I'll see what the other directors say about this.
So thank you for that, Director.
And if I could just add further, the values of that whole area are really widely known, ecologically, environmentally, and Flintboro itself has some real concerns. The whole area under question for transfer was set up as an access management area about 15 years ago, based on the very important habitat and forest values in the area. So there's some real significance over and above I think what we're addressing directly about recreation.
So in the past, recent past, we've tried to put comments on these referrals to share with the ministry. I'm thinking in the interest of time today, if anybody has some comments that they potentially would like to add to this referral, if we could email them to Manager Mescal or to Manager McLeod. And we'll get something drafted for tomorrow when we bring this back.
Okay.
Is there anyone else? Oh, Director Miller. Director Miller, you have the floor. Manager Duchuk, have you unmuted him? Oh, Director Miller, are you?
Hi.
There you go. We can hear you now.
Thank you, Chair. Okay, thank you. My concerns are basically the lack of meetings and with Modi not coming to the table, nor the Shuswap band. And so that's my real concerns. And I think there's other viable ways of trade possibly, but without that, that's my concern. And so I'm going to be certainly supportive of option 2.
Thank you. Director McCormick.
Thank you, Chair. So just a point of clarification. In the recommendation in the staff report under option number 1, it's fairly specific that expressing support for section 16 map reserve is not support for the land swap. It just ensures the lands in question are protected against encumbrances while negotiations are conducted. So I think there's an awful lot more to take place here, well beyond this. And when that happens, it would come back to us for further report. I'm not sure that we're not jumping the gun here a little bit.
Thank you. Director Wills. Oh, I'm sorry, Director Wilkie.
Oh. I was just wondering if Director Miller wanted to add a request for meetings as an addendum to the motion. I hear what Director McCormick is saying, and that there's some validity to that, but I think we're trying to send a pretty strong message here.
Okay, so we have a motion on the table. It's been suggested that we share our comments with Manager McLeod to add to the decision we make. Does anyone else want to speak to the motion?
Well, I would like to add, well, maybe we can do it tomorrow, but I would like to add that we request a meeting with MOTI and the band.
So, Manager Maskell, is that an amendment or an addition? Is that a new motion?
If the committee is accepting of it, it could be an amendment to this motion. I don't feel it is in opposition to this motion. It would just be an add-on. However, it could also be done as a standalone motion as well.
So Director Wilkie, make an amendment, or do you want to make a second motion once we've dealt with this one?
Well, I'll make an amendment. If that's not accepted, then I'll make a second motion.
All right, I need a seconder to the amendment. Director Polchak? Okay, further discussion? All right, is there anyone opposed to the amendment of adding the request for a meeting to this motion?
Director Wilks.
Okay, thank you, Director Wilks. Is there anyone else opposed to this amendment? All right, then this motion is passed. Now, going back to the main motion, that we go with option 2 as amended. Further discussion. Is there anyone opposed to this motion?
McCormick is opposed.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else opposed to this motion? And I will declare it passed. Carried. Thank you. So now to our delegations. I don't know if any of you are still on. Oh, I think I see Telus is still on. You're welcome to stay, of course, and if you leave, that's fine too. We won't be offended. All right, back to this.
Okay, thank you. I'll be signing off, but I just wanted to thank everyone. We're certainly very interested in making these upgrades, and Director Walters, I'd like to speak with staff also about other possible work that we can do in regional district there. I took note of that during conversations. So.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Okay. We are at our correspondence.
Yes, section 6 correspondence.
Does anyone want to pull anything out? I'm just activating the speaker list here.
Director
Wilkie.
121.
Okay. Go ahead.
I just lost it here, hold on. The Radiant Baymac application, that is, to me, a very, very straightforward application for a well-run mining operation just about 20 miles west of Radiant, up in the Suffolk Road. And it's in area D. I'm fully supportive of the request.
Excellent, thank you.
I can't raise my, red button there. My microphone isn't turning red. Anyways, I, just wanted everybody to know that, the Emerald Ranch in the Elk Valley that, put in ALR reconsideration was turned down today at this time, which is a travesty. It's just a travesty.
Thank you for sharing that. Okay, moving on.
Okay, next item is 7.1, Advisory Planning Commission minutes.
So I have a question. Yes, there are no minutes because the others didn't meet before the meetings got canceled. Is that correct?
Moving on, next item is 9.1.1.
Option 1 and 2.
Okay, moved by Director Gay, seconder. And you a seconder on options 1 and 2 for 9.1.1.
At the moment, we're
Director Carricker, so, sorry, Shan, or
So the first motion on the floor is on. Correct me if I'm wrong, moved by Director Gay, seconded by Director McGarricker.
that's correct.
Option number 1 is at bylaw 2981, Rocky View Official Community Plan, amending bylaw 25, Cranbrook North Hill, be introduced.
Discussion, Director King.
Yeah, I think, directors, you'll see on Friday, we don't have the map today, but when you see at the board, you'll see the map for the area. It's an area full of 5-acre lots, and this is just going to be conforming like the other ones, so I don't see any change to the purposes. It's rural residential. We're just making the zoning a little smaller than the RR8, down to RR2, but it'll be small holdings in rural residential. So I look for your support.
Thank you. Further discussion? Director Doyle.
Yeah, it's, Director McCarricker, he's not part-time, correct?
Oh, yes, he is. He's back.
Oh, he is? Oh, that's good news.
You must have missed
That's
me.
how we have him. There you go.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thanks.
Okay.
We're glad to know you've caught up, Director Doyle.
Okay, further discussion? I'll call the question. All those opposed, please speak up. Is there anyone opposed to this? All right, there is no opposition, the motion is carried.
So the next item is option 2, the bylaw 2982, electoral area C, self-zoning and floodplain management amendment bylaw 4, Cranbrook North Hill, be introduced.
Can I get a mover, Director Gay, seconded by
Director Doyle?
Director Doyle, thank you. Discussion? Anyone opposed? Please speak up if you are opposed to this motion. Hearing no opposition, the motion is carried.
And moving now to item 9.2.1. Staff recommendation is option number 1, that the Agricultural Land Commission be advised the RDEA supports the Williamson ALR exclusion application for their property at 1665 on Roy Road, north in Craigmont.
Can I get a mover?
Director Doyle?
Thank you, seconded by Director Gay. Discussion? All right, then I'll call the question.
Yeah,
Oh,
hang on.
Sorry, Director McCormick, I just looked over there. You're up.
Check your list, So, point of clarification, again, correct me if I'm wrong, did I not see something in the last week or two, an announcement that the province was not going to allow individual exclusions anymore?
Director McLeod is going to respond to that for us. Or manager.
Thank
Just
you.
demoted
Yes, and if you check back your email about 1 week, I did send some information around that. It was the notice, letter from the ministry advising of that, pending changes to the ALR regulations. And of significant importance, to anyone who owns land in the ALR, individual landowners effective approximately mid-September of 2020, will no longer be able to apply for exclusion from the agricultural land reserve. Only local governments or First Nations will be able to make those applications. And so local governments across British Columbia with ALR land in their boundaries will be scrambling to develop some policy with respect to how they wish to handle requests from landowners to have land removed from the ALR. The commission, the Agricultural Land Commission, is really pushing to have ALR exclusion processes conducted by local government in the way of more comprehensive boundary reviews, similar to what's occurred in the RDK in areas A, B, and C.
Thank you.
Thanks for the clarification. I missed the date.
No worries, good catch, anyway. Further discussion? All right, then, go ahead, Director Sosnowski.
Well, I just further with Manager McLeod. So what they're doing is pushing the boundary reviews on the RD.
Correct.
Right.
All right, I'm going to call the question. Please speak up if you're opposed. Is there anyone opposed to this motion? Hearing no opposition, the motion is carried.
Moving next to item 9.2.2. Staff recommendation is option number 1, that the Agricultural Land Commission be advised the RDK supports the Friedmeier ALR exclusion application for their property at 8078 Fan Lane Crescent in Meadowbrook.
Can I get a mover?
I'll move Walter.
Director Walter, and I have it seconded by Director Kovachuk. Discussion. Okay, hearing none and having no one on my list,
Can I speak to this, please?
Go ahead.
Okay. During the APC meeting, he attended the meeting, and one of the questions that was asked, which would be quite a good impact answer to this, is why they had not realized that they had to move the trailer at the time of the completion of their house. And he stated at that time they thought they would be moving there permanently from Saskatchewan, but his wife has since extended her job for a couple more years. And they feel they really do need this trailer left there on their acreage as more of a people to watch their property, and their acreage as more of a people to watch their property and keep maintaining it.
Okay, thank you for that. Further discussion? All right, then I'll call the question. Is there anyone opposed to this motion? Please speak up if you are opposed to this motion. All right, then, seeing no opposition, the motion is carried. All right, we're adjourned. Thank you, directors. That was quite a lesson for both Director Day and myself, and staff have been amazingly supportive. I think that the camera didn't pick it all up, but Manager Duchuk has been everywhere, and she's keeping us all honest here. So talk to you all tomorrow just after 9 a.m. Good night.
Question, Chair, supper.
Oh gosh, I'm having, I can tell you what I'm having because they're cooking it as I speak. We're having homemade brats and pierogies.
Thanks.
Right.
Rose, hey,
Lasagna.
Oh, there you go.
Or candlelight.